seeing the high moral stance that Doug Phillips takes. I mean, he always speaks about the best, I mean, the most godly people, both in history and in our present time, and has such a lovely family and seems to stand on such high moral ground. Did that surprise you to see such a opposite thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything on his website, I like a lot of the stuff on their website. It's all about morality, courageous values and godly values, integrity.
Walking close with your children.
Pardon?
Walking close with your children.
Yeah, being a godly husband and father. I thought before this that it was probably a pretty good ministry, and obviously one of high moral integrity. And yeah, I was very shocked that any Christian organization would put out something like that was so obviously not the truth. And especially when, the DeRosas were involved with the video, they knew what the truth was. I didn't know how much Doug Phillips, actually knew, but he knew quite a bit, since his film crew did it, and they were out there filming.
Yeah, they knew for certain that they didn't raise the Allosaur.
Right.
Now, my other question is, when Doug's blog started citing a self-styled expert who was attacking the DeRosas, they said the DeRosas were prodigies and persecuted, the best the homeschool movement has ever produced, and then that there were others out there. Well, they actually specifically said a self-styled expert who was, greedy and out to promote himself and to take away the DeRosas' great and wonderful thing. Do you remember ever coming across any of those on his website? And didn't you kind of feel like maybe that was a total opposite of what the truth was?
Yeah, I remember reading that kind of stuff. And I knew who they were referring to. It was a veiled reference to Joe Taylor. And yes, and it was really just the opposite, because Joe is the real professional who had been doing that kind of work for over 20 years. He had been training the DeRosa boys, who were the real amateurs and who were the novices. And really, even now, probably couldn't be considered professional fossil excavators. They're the self-styled folks. It's true that Joe doesn't have a degree in paleontology, but he has more field experience than most PhDs in paleontology.
And did you ever see him persecute the DeRosas at any time?
No, I mean, I never saw Joe even argue with the DeRosas, for that matter, until I heard about the lawsuit threat, and then I know...
And who was threatening the lawsuit?
Yeah, it was the DeRosas threatening, and I think Joe probably argued a bit with them at that point, and then subsequently has had a disagreement with them and gone through arbitration and this whole process. But before that, there was never an argument to my knowledge.
Creation Expeditions website, where they have the David and Goliath remarks.
Yeah, I think those remarks are still up on their website.
They are. And how does that strike you?
Well, again, it's just the opposite. Their boys are the Davids against this big Goliath who's persecuting them and calling them, amateurs and again, it's just the opposite. Joe Taylor is really the David in this situation. He's pretty much by himself. He doesn't have a lot of resources. He has been very kind to the DeRosa boys, and gracious, and Joe has been the one that's been persecuted and accused of all kinds of terrible things, and had really a great opportunity stolen away from him. And he's basically tried to defend himself a little bit, and so now he's being accused of being the bad guy.
Now, would you consider the Goliath, who has a database of 600,000 people, Vision Forum?
Sure. Yeah, the Goliath is Vision Forum, maybe not the DeRosas themselves, but with Doug Phillips and Vision Forum behind him. That's the Goliath right there. Doug Phillips has a lot more money. He's got lawyers. He's got an organization. He's got this mailing list.
And Doug Phillips is also a lawyer himself.
Right. So yeah, that's the Goliath, and Joe is the David, and it's just the opposite, as so often the case here.
From what you know about the fallout and everything that's gone on, does it seem to you that Pete DeRosa could have carried this charade on without Vision Forum?
I don't think so. I don't think he could. I don't think Pete had that many resources, and I don't think he'd been able to do very much without Vision Forum.
Last comment. On the Doug Phillips blog, Vision Forum blog, it mentions in the Prodigies and Persecution blog that I read, when it talks about the self-styled expert, it talks about him being only interested in sordid gain, being greedy for filthy lucre. As you view this, who are the ones that have made money off the Allosaur versus the ones that have made nothing off the Allosaur?
Well, Doug Phillips and the DeRosas have made basically all the money off of this, profited handsomely from the video, perhaps from the sale of the bones. I don't know, exactly what's going on with that, but they have control of them and have the potential to make money, and the publicity value of it has benefited no one but Vision Forum and the DeRosas' creation expeditions, and led to other work for them, by the way. Whereas Joe Taylor has suffered loss of almost everything, including his own business, his museum, and has not profited at all from it. So it's pretty clear who the people interested in filthy lucre are, in this case. It's Doug Phillips and Pete DeRosa.
Okay. And do you hold Peter and Mark culpable, since they're 19 and 21 years old now?
Yeah, I mean, they're adults. They're young adults. They know the difference between right and wrong, and they know the lie from the truth, and they know the truth of this story, and yet they contributed to the lies being put out there. So yeah, I would hold them responsible as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry.
Sure, thank you.